The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mike, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Max Radio. We're an open line today, so whatever you want to talk about, call 66 13 68. Yesterday, we were talking about the retail offering in and around the Isle of Man, particularly in Douglas, and what could be done to improve it. And also the overarching question, is it better than it used to be, or is it worse than it used to be? Admittedly, there were lots and lots of individual shops and lots of family shops, lots of unique shops. Those have gone now, those have disappeared. We've still got some very, very fine individual shops around, but obviously in concert with everybody else, we've got lots and lots of multiples. Some of the multiples are absolutely fantastic. But what do you think? What do you think we should be doing to attract? Now, bearing in mind what mentioned yesterday was the cost of rents, particularly on Strand Street in Douglas. Lots of absentee landlords with premises that they charge an awful lot for. And it's often difficult to make a living. Consequently, we have charity shops here, there and everywhere. We've got lots of coffee shops now. Whether or not those coffee shops make any sort of money, who knows? Because there are every time something happens, a coffee shop pops up somewhere. But if you got the answer to it, I'd be really interested. It was off on the back of this survey that was done. It's primarily about women, to be quite honest. It was about women's shopping and women's habits as to how it's going to work. And this survey was talking about women having more confidence in making choices. Well, have you got any thoughts? A message in from Vincent, who says, Andy, I've been listening to all these candidates who talk about, what they're going to do for the Isle of Man if and when they get elected at Keys. And I've been listening to what voters or potential voters have been saying. But it's interesting. Lots of people, or lots of candidates, the constituents have been saying, what I want, what's good for me, what I need. Surely they should be asking, the greater question is, what's good for the Isle of Man? Because Vincent said, I think that question comes first. Surely what's good for the Isle of Man will subsequently be good for the individual. Well, do we have to concentrate on the big picture? Thank you, Vincent. Thanks for that point. Good to hear from you. And a message in regarding, yes, I've seen that naff old car, King Edward Road. It's an old Citroen, isn't it, that's been there for years. It's got things growing underneath it. And somebody's also said, well, these abandoned cars aren't just the, happening in places like Oncombe. The millionaires of Clayhead have got one. Halfway up Clayhead Road, there's an old Volkswagen van that looks like it's been there for about 20 years. Is somebody ever going to be, or is it one of the millionaires' art collection that they're just letting it rust away? I don't know. Maybe if the millionaires of Clayhead would put down their Beaujolais 1956 and tell us, is somebody going to get rid of that old Volkswagen van on Clayhead Road? I don't think it's been used for a long time. Thank you for that. Text, email, call and WhatsApp. Yes, this thing about this survey, we were talking yesterday about the retail survey. It says the findings suggest that the benefits extend far beyond individual wardrobes. So it wants women to feel more confident making purchasing decisions. Greater confidence has the potential to reduce unnecessary household spending. So if women feel more confident in making purchasing decisions, it could reduce unnecessary unnecessary household spending, help women get more wear from clothes they already own, encourage more sustainable shopping habits. I think that means don't buy as many clothes. Strengthen relationships between customers and retailers, support more intentional consumer behaviour, whatever that means, and improve everyday confidence and well-being. Well, if you've got any thoughts on that, by all means do get in touch. Alistair Ramsey has been talking about rate reform, and that obviously is one thing, that's an overhaul of the local government system on the Isle of Man, and he thinks rate reform should be higher up the political agenda for the new administration. Obviously, rates normally concern you when you get a big bill. It's one issue that's likely to be discussed on the doorsteps in the run-up to next month's general election. Is it a priority? Are you bothered about your rates, and do you think that Tynwald could affect it? Right, let's get to the phones. David's with us first of all. Hi, David.
Hi, Andy. Just yesterday when the guy was on about the Carane Groudle Road in Onken towards the golf course there, the one I seen this morning, went for a look around, as I normally do is that it's a MG green one, battered, and the windscreen wipers are bent up, tyres flat, and the mould growing underneath with the moss and stuff like that. Same as the one is a van down now Belgravia Road near the Onken Flat Green there, where the tennis courts are. There's a van there. It's out of date with tax, and has been for a month. But can I say to the residents out there, what we need to do is, the number's 5,000. That goes to Ellerslie. And the lady that answers the phone, all you've got to do is complain. But what you need to do as well is ask her, will she send you an acknowledgement that you've received it? And that makes them gee up a bit more, because they know you're serious on doing these things.
Right. So what is it? 850000? Did you say?
5,000.
85.
Which is Ellerslie.
Oh,
that's the deal.
Right. Okay. So that's 3 zeros. 85000. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And I use it all the time. I do send some photographs sometime. But I've got a complaint too, and it's in Lakeside as well, is next to the Baptist Church in Onken there. We've got a little lane that goes from the main road to Lakeside. And it's it's not an double lane as far as I'm concerned. It's the DOT lane. It's a public access lane. And it's full of holes. The surface is slippery. And I just wonder whether, and I've reported it several times to the DOI, but I'm not getting anywhere with it. But that does happen. They have a list. But what concerns me is who assesses these things, that they are dangerous. Because if it's a dangerous issue or a dangerous thing for a site on a road junction or whatever, overgrown hedges and stuff like that, they do act on it a little bit quicker.
Right.
So you may have to do that. But it's great that I don't know who the fellow was the other day there, but it was great that residents are actually looking at them, and they're unsightly.
And the thing, did we ever get to the bottom of what the responsibility is of the DOI and the police? If it's taxed, nobody can do anything about it?
Well, they use this term like if it's taxed or it's standing upright and it's not battered and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They can't do a lot. But what they can do, the police or the DOI, and the DOI can do it quicker, is they have access to the information on the computer to see if it's registered, if it's in... And somebody needs to go out to say, that's in poor condition, let's get it in for a test. I remember Bruce Hannay, and a long time ago now, I hope he's still alive actually, that Bruce Hannay used to say, we'll get the vehicle tax inspection department from Ellerslie at the time to go out and have a look, and they put a sticker on it and say, we classify these vehicles as unfit for transport, on the roads, and they do something about it. And we don't need to get to the situation like they do in other cities in other jurisdictions, where they have a big crane and they just lift things, put it to a compound, and say, if you're not here in 20 days, we crush it. But we're getting close.
Well, the thing is that, some people are taking the mickey, aren't there? There are some people who are leaving vehicles for years on end.
Yeah, they are. They definitely are. And they're the same ones all the time. We used to have, and I didn't check it today, so it's my fault if I'm incorrect on it. The police officer, one of the police officers used to attend on the commissioners regularly on a Tuesday morning. And I didn't have enough time this morning to go up and have a look to see if the officers was there. I know she hasn't been there for about a month and a half. And we still need to have community officers that get involved with the community, don't we? They don't need to be high-powered policemen or sergeants or inspectors, whatever. What we need is, and we can use them sometimes too. Do you remember they're volunteers, special constables?
Oh, yes, yeah. Community police officers now, aren't they?
Yeah, and I'd love to find out whether we still have them, because they're a part of the community, they're involved in the community, and they care about the community, and sometimes that doesn't help elsewhere. All right?
Okay, good to hear from you. Thanks, David.
Right,
So now, 17 minutes past 12. That telephone number again is 850000, 850000 for Ellerslie if you want to report an abandoned vehicle. And if you can take a photo of it, but if somebody is leaving a vehicle, if it's patently not roadworthy, if it's got flat tyres, if it looks like it hasn't been driven, if there's moss all over the windscreen wipers and what have you. Now, if it's taxed, but who'd have a vehicle like that and tax it? Why would you do that? Any thoughts on this? By all means, get in touch. Recent events, says John from Ramsey. In the UK, houses being burnt to the ground. The drought is a clear indication that global warming is picking up pace. Hopefully, the Isle of Man government will now take this into consideration and push through Erie Stain to reduce our carbon footprint. John is concerned about this. Ask not what the Isle of Man can do for you, but what you can do for the Isle of Man, says Nick Skip. He's channeling John F. Kennedy. He said that, didn't he? What can you do? Well, it's interesting. We obviously the next cohort of Keys members of the House of Keys is going to be really important for the Isle of Man, because we're obviously in a minor pickle, shall I say. We're drawing on reserves, and that can't go on forever. So what will the incoming politicians, and I'd advise you, if they come knocking at your door, do take a bit of time and ask them, look into their eyes and say, what would you do about the reserves? Because anybody can spend money. We can always find ways to spend money. But we have to concentrate on making money. We used to be very good at making money. Very, very good. We were well ahead of the game in making money. However, times have changed. There was a global financial crisis. We know that there are wars going on. But in the meantime, we can't rely on anybody else. We only have ourselves to look after. We can't borrow money from anywhere else. So what do? We should be looking at the bigger picture for the future of our society. If the government continues and doesn't reverse their current inward migration policy, we'll go down the pan like next door, says Steve, a concerned resident. So that telephone number again for Ellerslie, everybody's telling me 850000 if you want to report a car. It was a four-wheel drive that the truck dragged out of its space backwards and across the road sideways. I doubt it's very drivable after that, says that WhatsApper. As always, we are looking forward to the MGP coverage. Give a big shout out to 100+ Auntie May Brideson and her daughter Angela and George Fincher from Duffy's of Howth. All the best to you. Of course, the boys and girls on Manx Radio Motorsport are doing their stuff as I speak. All the action will be on, and fingers crossed that everything goes ahead tonight. You heard Rob Pritchard in the news at midday today. But certainly the contingency tomorrow afternoon will be used. So roads will be closed at midday 30 tomorrow, and there's a contingency also for Thursday. I was talking about rate reform, and it sounds very dry and dusty, doesn't it? But rate reform is important. Is it a priority? Well, here's the political commentator Alistair Ramsey.
The system across the island is unfair, and it's hard not to agree with that when you recognise that the rating system, the rating valuation, is based on what you might be able to rent a house for back in the 1970s. So, for example, where I live out in the sticks, that was considered to be an impoverished area. So the rateable value would have been lower than if I would have been living in the centre of a town, which obviously had the advantage of all these wonderful municipal services. So the town property, a similar sized town property, would probably pay more rates than one in the countryside would. And clearly that has changed dramatically since the 70s, when that was the assessment.
Yes, and you couldn't begin to talk about devolving services and costs to the local authority level until you address that. And that's another thing that they've failed to grasp the nettle. I mean, within, I guess, the last 10, 15 years, there have been a couple of initiatives. One, I think, was based on capital value of the property. That kind of got a good way down the road and then just disappeared. Then there was a property value, property size, I think, was another one. I think at one stage somebody was going to put drones up to check on the size of properties. But in any of this, there's going to be winners and losers. And however much you explain that this is going to modernise the system and make it fairer, the people who lose are going to complain very loudly.
Well, that was Alistair Ramsey chatting to Phil Gorn about rates on the Isle of Man. So should it be on size? Should it be on the value? How does that work? And this all works back also to local authorities, because local authorities will set the rate, the rateable value, and they'll each premise will have a rateable value, and then the rate, the amount of rate comes in. I got a message. We were talking about local authorities, and a message came in from Clive. Hello, Clive, who said, I'm just finding his message, and it says, Andy, isn't it time to get rid of local authorities and just have a north, south, east and west? Well, there was a 4+1 plan a few years ago, which is north, south, east and west, and Douglas, or perhaps Douglas, Onken and Braddon, to do that, because at the moment we have a lot of local authorities, and local authority elections don't always have a lot of the turnout for local elections isn't quite what it used to be. So, and again, this is quite an involved subject. It's a dry subject, but it involves everybody. And like all of these things, it's something that we need to pay attention to. Local authority elections. Do you agree with Clive that we should perhaps reduce the number of local authorities? Or do we still need them? Do they still provide a function? Do you feel a bit more local when you have a local authority looking after your area? Or would you be happier if it was a regional authority, just another bit of the Isle of Man that would crumble away? So instead of having local authorities, it was a regional authority. Do you remember the kerfuffle that happened with the Northern Civic Amenity Site when Bride didn't want to put their money into the Civic Amenity Site, because normally everybody puts money in, and the DOI decided to jump in? That sort of thing.
A great night's sleep got even better with Zed's Bedding Store. From quality Beldorm bed linen and mattress protectors, fleece and woven throws, to luxury duvets from the fine bedding company. Zed's Bedding Ramsey, next to Isle of Man Bank.
Manx Memorials in Ballasalla will guide you in creating beautiful, lasting memorials across the island. From a wide range of granite and marble headstones, custom inscriptions, expert renovations and pet memorials, adding care and compassion in every detail. We offer families peace of mind for years with perpetual grave care. We're there when you need them most. Call 843-861 or email matthew@manxmemorials.co.uk.
Ellen Vannin Fuels promotes road safety and would like to thank their customers for their understanding about restricted access and deliveries on and around the mountain course during this year's Manx Grand Prix. Safety first with Ellen Vannin Fuels.
Revving up for the Southern 100 races. Your local Tesco has barbecue mains, celebration drinks, camping essentials and much more. Tesco. Every little helps.
The Granite Centre in Laxey. For complete kitchen renovations, replacement worktops, and with over 35 distinct styles and finishes, there's a Kuka instant boiling water tap for every home. Call 612287 or visit thelaxeykitchenco.im today.
In the run-up to the House of Keys general election on Thursday the 24th of September, we want to give you as much information as possible about who's standing in your constituency to help you decide who to vote for. So, starting on Monday the 31st of August, we'll be hosting our live constituency debate programmes at Studio One. Every candidate standing will be invited to take part, and you could be a member of the audience. Head over to Manx Radio's election mini-site to find the date of your constituency debate and apply for your free ticket. You can find all the details at manxradio.com.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
A follow-on from yesterday's Villa Marina observations. It was about Oakles not being on sale there. I was at the James concert on the 30th of July. No Oakles bitter than either, typical of the government-funded venue, going out of its way not to sell Manx products. It's Grand Prix, lots of events, and why hasn't this been sorted out? And Desmond says, depends what sort of big picture we're looking at. It could be a horror picture that nobody wants to see. Well, but what do you mean by that, Desmond? No, what's your opinion? And what do you think we should be looking at? Do you think we should be looking at the small picture or the big picture, bearing in mind we are drawing down on reserves? And those reserves won't last. We spent a long time building up the reserves, but we're drawing down on them. So what do you think we should do? My message to the candidates, thank you 425, sorry there's nothing on there. You should see Leaney Road and Riverbank in Royal Ramsey. They're just a dumping ground. Untaxed builders, vans and motorhomes. Police or commissioners don't seem to be able to clear these rusting eyesores. Leaney Road and Riverbank, is that true? Send me a few photos. I hate to break it to Big John, but ruining our views with giant wind turbines isn't going to make it rain while China, India and places like that keep on carrying on the way they do, says 114. Well, it's an interesting point. Obviously, the UK has got less than 2% of an impact on the carbon footprint or the carbon emissions in the world. We are a tiny proportion of that. So what we do, to be quite honest, is neither here nor there. However, do you think making the gesture is worth it? Do you think doing our bit towards minimising carbon emissions is going to be effective? Practically, not a lot. Put us alongside China and India and the United States of America, and we're not going to do much. But is it worth our effort to do it, to show that we actually mean business? Here's Michael with us now. Hi, Michael.
Hi. Just to refer back to the conversation about the rates there just now.
Yeah.
Compared to your global issue of climate change, it seems rather Mickey Mouse. However, the rating system has been unfair for forever, really. And as it was pointed out by on your clip there, it's a completely random figure plucked out of the air. The fact is that the rates are a property tax, and it has nothing to do with the services provided by whatever local authority you happen to be with. It's a property tax. If you look it up online, the government says it's not a charge for services, it's a tax. So years and years ago, I tried to affect this because we were living in Portsmouth and our rates seemed to be rather expensive compared to everybody else, and I took it up in great detail with the politicians at the time, and they all agree that it's wholly unfair, but not one of them is going to be able to grasp the nettle of local government reform and rates, because it's just I think the last MHK who did try, he didn't get re-elected, so it's a kind of kiss of death for anybody who tries to take on the local authority problem in the Isle of Man. And the rating system, as has always been pointed out, is ludicrous. I mean, we pay such different amounts depending on where you live. I've got a friend who lives, not a mile away in a different parish, and he pays about a quarter what I do in Portsmouth. I'm not complaining. He's obviously at an advantage, but it's wholly unfair.
But surely, Michael, this can't go on.
Well, I mean, they've said that's been said for years. This can't go on, but it's going to be virtually impossible to move. You know, it's like turkeys voting for Christmas. And the fact is that when you conflate local authority reform with the rating system, it gets such a complex issue that it's almost insurmountable. In fact, they're separate issues. You could reform local authorities. You could maintain little offices or work teams in the locality, but it doesn't have to be managed by rather expensive civil servants, from one village to the next. Could easily be done. I mean, the 4+1 idea was the one that saw off the last candidate, and I can't remember who it was who suffered the effects of trying to fix it. Can't remember who it was now. Anyway, it's just my point is that rates are a property tax, and they ought to be consistently and evenly applied, because you don't happen to pay more or less income tax or VAT because you live in Bride or Ramsey, do you, for instance? I mean, the property tax should be evenly applied. It's the basis for it is completely irrational. The property tax thing, it's irrational. I think in Ireland they've abandoned local domestic property rates because it's just too unfair, and they've increased income tax instead, which is probably a bit fairer, but obviously no more popular. Yeah. But at least income tax is based on some rational number, whereas rates, at least the way they're applied here, is completely irrational.
But it just seems like we're going round in ever-decreasing circles, and somebody at some point's got to say, look, this is silly, we need to rationalise it, we need to do something about it.
Yeah, well, we do, but I mean, it's been tried before, and it simply can't get past the hump because it's just too complicated, and it's easier for them to keep on plucking the turkeys, and we just put up with it, don't we? I mean, if you can afford it, you can afford it, but it's simply it's not really in order that houses like mine are paying between nearly $3,000 in rates, including water and sewage, of course, and somebody a mile away is paying a quarter of that because they happen to be in Arbury or Rushen or whatever.
Right.
Okay. Seems very odd, that's all, to have a tax that's so unfairly applied. That's my point, that's all.
Right, Michael, we appreciate your call. Thanks for being with us today.
Okay, see ya.
Thank you. 27 minutes before 1. Another Michael. Mike's on now. Hi, Mike.
Hello, Andy.
Yes, Mike.
John sent in a message about suggesting that the fires in Stourbridge with the 14 homes destroyed was somehow to do with global warming. Now, my brother lives reasonably close by there. It's arson. 2 13-year-olds have been arrested. Apparently in the UK there is a TikTok craze to see who can start the biggest fire. I mean, these irresponsible idiots really do need a flogging. Come back to, and I've said this, I've been not mentioned it for a long time now, we develop so little towards the carbon or whatever. Carbon neutral is a waste of time. We need it anyway. Whatever we do will make absolutely no difference. The plants need it and we to live, and so we need the plants to live. And so really anybody who's supporting in government net zero, etc., really they shouldn't be in government.
Why do you think then, Mike, why do you think this is the political orthodoxy? This is what everybody in politics follows, and it's what they say. You just turn on television, it's all about this, it's all about being carbon neutral, it's all about improving your carbon footprint. Is it you that's out of step with them, or are they out of step?
Put it this way, one of the founders of the Green Party gave a speech the other week. I actually sent it in to yourself. I think I actually missed the end of the show. There was no actual modelling for it. It was just dreamt up, basically. That this, how shall I put it? This, well, the fact that we're responsible for destroying the planet, etc. It's a nonsense. Really, we've got so much more we need to do. To waste money on trying to reach something that we will not do, and we need the carbon anyway. We've got a huge carbon sink up on the mountain with all the peat. Trees we've got. All right, we haven't got as many trees as a lot of parts of England. We just don't need it on yet. We're throwing money away, hand over fist, for something when we should be spending money on what we need to. At best, the politicians who go down that line, if they believe in it, they're there to... The politicians are there to do the best for the country, regardless of their own personal beliefs. Same with the civil servants. Clues in the name, they're civil servants. They must do what is best for the country and the population. At very best, chasing this is a dereliction of duty. I'll probably, if I actually say what I think is a worse thing, I'll probably not be allowed to ring in again.
Okay.
It's a nonsense, absolute nonsense.
Okay, all right. We appreciate Mike. Thanks for your opinion today. Thanks for calling today. And that story, by the way, about what's happening in the West Midlands, a 23-year-old man and a 24-year-old woman from Stoke-on-Trent have been arrested on suspicion of arson. Veronica now. Hello, Veronica.
Oh, hi, Andy. You okay?
Yeah, good. What's on your mind?
I'm just calling really about the ongoing issues with the Irish travel links. You know, it's just ridiculous. I understand that there's some, what they call logistical pressures with a Manxman, which is a joke because that was 80 million or something, was it, for that?
It was, yeah, and we don't know when it's going to be coming back.
But, I mean, I don't know what the right word is. I'm on the radio. How, let's just call it ridiculous, is that? And how many times it's been pulled back, and anyway, all the reschedule. It's just very frustrating because I'm trying to go to Ireland.
Particularly, specifically, what bothers you about getting from where to where?
Right, from the Isle of Man to Ireland. So, the Irish routes are treated as an afterthought. They cancelled the Dublin ferry for the summer, and now they're pushing the Larne sailings to 6:45, was it? I was told the other day. I went down to try and book. The young girl was very pleasant. She was on her own to Indeed. She was doing the best she could. And she told me it was 7. I've written it down and got a printout of them, of all the boats. And it was 7:30, she told me. So I sat with her and she told me 7:30 to Larne, definitely. I said, is that for sure? She said yes. And that was different on the printed out, what they originally had, because of the boats being pulled back and they had to reschedule. And then I rang up to sort of book, and then I was thinking about booking, and I was told it was 6:45. So it just seems like it appears like they don't really know what they're doing either. Well, they haven't got the information. The communication's not effective, let's say, if you know what I mean. So that's just happened a few days ago there. I mean, and then there's no boats at all, or flights to Belfast. I think that's almost 2 years. Was that 2024? I think the other winter I was trying to get one, and there's no planes. But why is nobody up in arms? It's ridiculous. Like, there's a big Irish population here, you know, so it's like an afterthought for the Irish. It seems like it just appears like that. And I've been here 30 years, or something, and 31 years.
Well, what happened before, do you remember EasyJet? Before it used to be Loganair were going to Belfast, weren't they? And then in came EasyJet, and they kind of killed it off, because I think that's what they call predatory pricing. They were charging less. It finished off Loganair, and then EasyJet pulled out, and now we've got nobody, as you say. The trouble is there aren't that many airlines around anymore, Veronica.
I know, but I mean, but why not? I mean, I don't really understand, to be honest, how that part works. But there are, as I say, a huge population of Irish people. Not just that. People want to visit from here, want to visit Ireland, even if they're not, haven't got Irish families, I would say. And I know it's going to be said that it's the freight and the food and all that. It's the main line, you know, for Heysham. And that's probably, you know, understand that, you know what I mean? But, I mean, Imagine button life things actually, is it regressing, do you call it, or digressing, and not progressing? I mean, that doesn't sound right.
It's regressing.
You know,
well, no, the thing is, no, you're dead right. The fact is, we used to have lots of flights to Belfast. In fact, there used to be one that went from Blackpool to the Isle of Man to Belfast. We had a lot of flights every day, and it's not what it used to be. And the thing is, you say you don't understand how the airlines work. Neither really do I. But we all know there are no flights, and that's the top and bottom of it.
My mother was ill last year. I was just thinking, if poor wee mummy was still alive, I'd never be able to. She was 100 when she died, 102. So I thought, how would I have got home? In principle, it's very frustrating, and it's that reschedule of the boats. And maybe there mustn't be anything they can do. But as I say again, it seems to be the Irish. That it's what I don't know. It's just so frustrating. Yeah. It's too early, and it's not convenient or flexible for people.
Yeah, I mean, have you sailed to Larne? You've sailed to Larne, haven't you?
I did actually. I did do it because lost her husband.
Because I mean, you can walk off the boat and get straight onto the train line, can't you? There.
Yeah, apparently. Well, it was very late at night when I went. It was the one that was inconvenient again.
Right. So no trains.
Years ago. Well, there is a train, but I don't know at that time of night if there was. But I wasn't, when I'm living in this island for so many years, I'm not taking the train. It's a bit inconvenient to get tired and stuff like that, so I wasn't going to do it. It was at 1:30 in the morning, and one was after 12. But that's why I was happy with these boats when I saw it. They were 9:30 going out. Originally, I've got the original paperwork here. 9:30. The returns were 14:15, which was perfect time to get from where I'm coming from, Newry or Lisburn, to go, but now they're rescheduled. I mean, the 6:45 in the morning and coming back at 10:45. For people in Belfast or Larne, that's super. If you're driving, but I'm not. And I just think it's ridiculous. I mean, I really do. I can't believe no one's really, I don't hear anybody mentioning that.
Okay.
And as I say, with a huge population of Irish, I just don't think it's correct. And as I say, we've regressed. Is that the word?
Yeah, we are. We're going backwards. Let's put it that way.
It appears like that with a lot of things, but that's just one topic.
Yeah. Okay.
Is this?
All right.
We need reliable, consistent options to Ireland, not just a backup service.
Well, now you've started it, let's see what everybody else has to think about this. V, thanks for calling today.
Hello, thanks, Andy. Take care.
Do you too as well. 17 minutes before 1. I don't think it's wise to bankrupt. This is Nick who just said, I don't think it's wise to bankrupt the Isle of Man in order to virtue signal to the rest of the world that doesn't really care. My opinion on net zero. Our carbon emissions are tiny compared to Britain's. Britain's emissions are tiny compared to the rest of the world. Britain could disappear, could sink beneath the sea, and it wouldn't make much difference at all. We could sink beneath the sea, and nobody would even notice. So, do you think that what we're doing is it the right thing to do, and B, is it the right thing for us to do for ourselves? More messages in. And let me just reiterate what the caller said before about arsonists. In the UK, this 23-year-old man and a 24-year-old woman from Stoke-on-Trent have been arrested on suspicion of arson after a grass fire damaged 4 homes in Stoke-on-Trent. So we don't know about the Stourbridge thing, but that's certainly what's happened there. Just a thought on rates. The rating system has remained unchanged for over 50 years, says WhatsApp 778. This might suggest that government already does very well out of it as regards revenue, because if it didn't, it would have long ago addressed the problem. Thank you, 778. And yes, again, Mike should look at his rates form. As well as a property tax, it's for various services as well, says Malcolm. But again, if you're getting charged, and Mike obviously was getting charged a lot more than somebody, a mile down the road because they're in a different parish. I mean, it's patently not fair, and it's great if you're paying less than the other bloke. But what do you think?
Concerned about your hearing? Get the support you need with an expert hearing assessment at Island Hearing in Port Erin. Assessments are free for over 65s, and microsuction wax removal is also available at our Port Erin clinic. With more than 17 years as your local hearing care specialist, Island Hearing offers friendly professional help and advice. Call 830 722 or visit Island Hearing at 1 Station Road, Port Erin.
Welcome to the Miller Chaps of Ramsey Summer Sale, where you'll find fabulous reductions throughout the store, from beds and flooring to sofas, cane furniture and accessories, rugs, pictures, mirrors and even wallpapers. Plus, the friendly Miller Chaps team are here as always with a warm welcome and expert help and advice when needed. Don't miss the Miller Chaps of Ramsey Summer Sale, now on.
Creating a home where you'll love to be. Miller Chaps of Ramsey.
Housing, benefits or employment issues, faulty goods, bad workmanship, financial problems and relationship breakdowns. We all run into difficulties in life, and it can feel like there's no one who can help you sort them out. But at Manx Citizens Advice Service, we can help. As an independent charity, we offer free, confidential support covering all sorts of areas. You don't need an appointment. Just call in at Promenade Church, Loch Promenade, Douglas, or call 366 338. Open Tuesdays from 12:30 till 3 and Fridays 10 till 12:30. Manx Citizens Advice Service. Your advice service.
Join us every Saturday morning from 10 o'clock for the Saturday Sandwich.
We've got a brand new competition and a chance for you to win a £20 voucher to use at the Ginger Hall in Sulby.
We'll have our regulars, the What's On Guide, the Traffic and Travel and also the Likeable Lyric.
So each Saturday here on Manx Radio, you'll have a chance to get something more than just a sandwich, courtesy of the Ginger in Sulby.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
It's 13 minutes before 1, lucky 13 before 1, this Tuesday lunchtime on the Isle of Man, and the Arrow is back. Yes, the motor vessel Arrow has returned to service following repairs. It went into dry dock in Birkenhead earlier this month after an oil leak was found in one of its control pitch propeller systems. And she's back. She's now alongside, but no freight on her at the moment, but anyway, I'm sure that'll come. And we got messages in just saying, are you following what's happening at the prison? Yes, our news team is following what's happening at the prison. 7 days after a protest took place at the prison in Derby, details of what happened are unclear at the moment. The Department of Home Affairs say it was peaceful. Other people are disputing this. It was about the provision of food, water and medication. Been disputed by several sources. There's a lot more on it. If you go to manxradio.com, there's loads more on it, including all the questions that we've put to the DHA, Department of Home Affairs. And Bonzo's on now. Hi, Bonzo.
Hello, yes. Who was the caller you had on a little earlier who had a brother from Stourbridge who seems to think that there is absolutely nothing wrong with the climate whatsoever? He obviously didn't kind of look at the logic of his own questioning, because he was saying, it was part of or he was claiming it was part of a TikTok craze to see who can start the biggest fire this summer. Something for children with nothing better to do. Right, so how do such children start a fire that then produces flames 10, 12 feet high, burns down a golf course, and then destroys 19 homes?
They find things that are very, very dry.
Absolutely. And why are they very dry, perchance? Because there hasn't been any rain there for about 50 plus days, because they've had temperatures over 30 degrees, for quite some time. Everything is absolutely parched out and brown, and all you need isn't even really a match head to get it going. So the idea that somehow these things are absolute fabrications and that they've been fabricated for the past 50 years is just the usual GB News Daily Mail conspiracist codswallop, which is produced and presented as fact time and time again.
I have to point out, let me point out one thing, Bonzo. The biggest selling newspaper on the Isle of Man is the Daily Mail.
Yes, well, I think we've answered our own question there, haven't we? We can see what is happening. We can see it with our own eyes. We experience it. We're fortunate here in that we do get some rain, but it's still been quite warm. here, and it's unfortunate that it decides to be warm, also it decides to be rainy when it's racing on either the TT or now. But people, I think, need to be provided with facts and be provided with true assessments, and to realise what the consequences of their decisions in the forthcoming election here, or more broadly in UK and globally, are going to be. Now, Aaron Arts Centre are showing the People's Emergency Conference, which was held in Westminster Hall a few months back, and the film of which has been shown, I believe, in the in the Methodist Church in Douglas, the one on the prom.
Yeah.
But that will be shown on the 3rd of September, I think 7 p.m. And I would advise people to go and see it and go and listen to people who are speaking on it, who are actual, real experts, people who are former military intelligence, one's a lieutenant general, people who are actual climate scientists, people who have experience of government, etc., who know what the problems may evolve into and what needs to be done about them. And that it isn't just a question of Guardian reading, knit their own quiche, virtue signallers, deciding that we should all ride bicycles and eat mung beans. It's a question of how our economy will survive, how, indeed, our civilization will survive.
Well, there are certain things that are incontrovertible, and one of the things is the temperature of the sea, Bonzo, because I was reading an interesting article about the movement of seaweed under the sea, and the movement of seaweed is something we have no hope whatsoever of changing. And if certain species of seaweed move out of places like the Mediterranean Sea, then everybody's stuffed, to be quite honest. And things like those, what they call the hornet bees that are around. What do they call the yellow-legged Asian hornet, which happens to be moving as well. We have to pay very close attention.
And things like the octopus bloom, because the octopuses are moving up from the Mediterranean because of the warmer water, and they're busying themselves around Cornwall, eating up as many lobsters and scallops as they can.
Yeah.
So what happens when the octopuses arrive at the Isle of Man to feast on our queenies?
Well, the thing is, we all know something is going on at the moment. Nobody quite knows what, but I think we're all aware something's happening, Bonzo.
Well, yes, but there are still, as we hear, those who seem to think it's some fanciful, woke idea.
Okay. All right, we've got to go. Thanks for calling today, Bonzo.
Okay, then. Cheers.
7 minutes before 1. Eric's back with us. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Andy. Yesterday I was talking about the double crossings and drop curbs.
Yeah.
And people falling in Ramsey. I come up to Douglas this morning on the bus, went to the grandstand. I've just come down into Douglas. And they've obviously got a better idea so people don't fall out of wheelchairs or mobility scooters. They don't bother putting any drop curbs in. Just come from the grandstand down to the promenade. 7 road crossings I had to make, and only 2 had any drop curbs. And for the rest of them, I had to ride down the road, coming down Broadway on the road instead of a pavement.
My word. It seems like the message hasn't quite got through, Eric.
No. And I've been before up the other side of Douglas. Williston was particularly bad. But, yeah, you would have thought, wouldn't you? Coming down Broadway, they would have had some drop curbs. So if I get hit by a car, I suppose it'll be my fault. Okay.
Thank you, Eric. I think we call that gallows humour. Thanks, Eric. Good to hear from you, and hopefully that situation gets a little light shown on it. KOT, who just said, I live in a rural parish, and if I move to the nearest town, my rates for the same size property will be roughly triple. I pay the same water, fowl and churchyard rates, share the cost of the swimming pool, have septic tank which I pay extra to have emptied. Why do towns cost more to run when they have a higher concentration of population and businesses? And a note in from Nick, who just said, I don't think it's wise to bankrupt the Isle of Man in order to virtue signal to the rest of the world that doesn't really care about us. The government needs to make council tenants in social houses pay the same rates as people who own their own properties and make it community charge, just like they do in the UK. I've mentioned before that any vehicles, car, camper van and van or ice cream wagon, if it's in a dilapidated state, even if it's taxed and been at the same place on the highway for over a month, is causing an offence. It's an offence anywhere on a public road. Is that true? Is that genuine? Is that genuinely true? Even a politician confirmed on your show a while back it's been so for a couple of years. Highways have got the power to get rid of it under the Act. Not the police, the Highways have. Just ring the Highways office. We're back to that again, are we? Call Ellerslie. This is what Highways stuck on a van that's being used as a shed on the road for 15 years, even though it's been taxed, said that. It went off in a skip the next week. Thank you for that. These vehicles need to be both taxed and insured on a public highway. Police and local authorities should request registered owners to provide proof that the vehicle is insured to park it in a position that it's in, says Mr. C. That's it. Back with another open line tomorrow on Mannin Line for Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thanks to Howie.
WINT